we are working together. We're on the same team, whether it's husband and wife, whether it's coworkers, whether it's customers, whether it's friends. Just remember that we're all on the same team. On your outline, I kind of put one line there. Friends and family are there to multiply your joys and divide your sorrows. And how true is that? How joyful it is when you have friends or coworkers or family members that you get along with, and it's joyful. When you're in conflict with them, it's the opposite. Conflict divides your joys and multiplies your sorrows. And that's something we want to avoid. We want to keep the joys in our life. We don't want to give the devil a foothold into our lives. And secondly, we don't want to tarnish our witness to the world. We're Christians. We should act as Christians, not only on Sunday morning when we're together, but on Monday when we're in our workplace, on Tuesday when we're driving to the store, and on the days when Sam's Club has their tasting and you're in a hurry to get through the line. It's a great time to practice. There's going to be two observations that we'll go through today, and then also through the rest of the study. We have the past, the observation of the past. You may be currently in some unreconciled relationship. Well, God wants to work with you in this relationship. Now, it may seem far-fetched. It may sound far-fetched, and maybe it's been years. But never underestimate the power of the Holy Spirit. You never underestimate that. I was recently talking with my brother-in-law, and he's back in Iowa, and he owns a trucking company now. And when he was younger, and his cousin, they were both drove for their fathers. The fathers owned the company. When the fathers retired, my brother-in-law and his cousin bought the company. All was well for the first 2 months, 3 months, and then they started having disagreements on how the company should run. They started arguing, they started fighting, and they started having disagreements. It led to my brother-in-law purchasing the trucking company and running it on his own. Well, that brought competition. That brought customers trying to go one way or the other. And it eventually, even family holidays, family get-togethers were either awkward, time-shared, and eventually not at all. After 17 years, they happened to meet in a truck stop at some unknown city. He didn't tell me that. And instead of my brother-in-law walking out and going to find another place to eat, he walked up to his cousin and he started with, "I am sorry." And so after 17 years, they started the reconciliation. So don't give up. It could take a long time. So try to suspend your doubts and disbelief. God still works in mysterious ways. And then we're going to work in the future. You will start to handle conflict differently when it arises. And it will. Maybe even, well, hopefully not during this class, unless you have something against the speaker. A new foundation will be laid down for you. But knowing the anatomy of the conflict and the areas you are able to make a difference and make a change, and that will change how you start dealing with the conflict. Our goal is for you to go from a selfish and destruction process to a God-glorifying, constructive process. So we're going to watch a couple videos. We're going to start with one, and we're going to kind of observe it, watch it, pay attention to some of the parts and pieces in it where the conflict arises and how it just escalates. And we'll talk about that after we watch the second video. So we'll have Daniel play this first video.
Hey.
So I'm trying to decide what to do for vacation this year.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. What do you think we should do?
Good question. I was thinking this summer it would be a good idea if we went to visit my parents. We haven't seen them in a while.
No, the problem is that's not a break for me. Yeah, your parents are hard work, especially your mom. I want to relax. I want to go to the beach.
I mean, seriously, if we don't go see them, they can't come see us. They can't travel. It'll be another year before the kids see them.
I get 2 weeks off for vacation. That's it.
I'm aware.
I want to use it to relax. That's it. I want to take it easy. Work's been hard this year. I want to go to the beach. What's the problem?
Yeah, but we went to the beach last year because of the same reason.
Yeah, and we got to relax. We got to take it easy. That's what I'm talking about.
That's not what I meant. And you know that. Yes, the beach was fun. We all had a great time, but my father is not going to be around forever. And I don't want to feel like I missed this opportunity to spend time with him. I don't know why we always have to go through this. I wish you could just think about what I need or what the kids need, and it wasn't just always about you.
Really?
Really.
So I'm selfish. I'm working 60 hours a week, okay? To pay for all these vacations, all this stuff that we do, so you can make all the decisions? Really? Is that how it's gonna work? I'm just some big ATM. I'm gonna throw money all over the place so you can make all the decisions. Yeah, go ahead and call me selfish. That makes a lot of sense. I'm selfish.
I cannot take this anymore. Like, taking care of the house and the kids, like, that's not a real job? And I work part-time. I pull my share. If it's that important to you to have a break, you should take one. Go to the beach. Call your golf buddies. Do whatever you want. And I'll take the kids and we'll go see my dad.
I want to take a family vacation. Family vacation. I want to see my kids. I want to spend time with my kids.
Well,
care about this family as much as you care about your parents. That's what you need to be doing. We're right here. Us.
That is so unfair. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, it is ridiculous.
You know what?
You're right.
You do whatever you want. I'm going to bed.
You do that. I'm going to watch a movie.
Please do not do that.
Good night. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night. Why does it always have to be this hard? Whatever.
That was quite a video. Now, maybe your arguments aren't quite that dramatic, but he ends with this statement: why does it always have to be this hard? Well, kind of a spoiler alert, it really does not have to be. Why are we studying peacemaking? Well, many of us may have a kitchen like that, or a living room, or a dorm, or an office. And we're trying to instill in us, through the anatomy of a conflict, how to avoid going to a destructive time. It took less than 1 minute from it being a regular topic, a regular conversation, to becoming an argument. So less than 1 minute. This couple has probably argued many times prior to this. They're good at it. They know how to do it. Sometimes it's about money. Like in this one, it was about vacation. But it's always different topics. Maybe it's too much television. Maybe it's too much time on the cell phone. We learned a few weeks ago how much time we really do spend on the cell phone. There is a better way for all of us. It's through the good news of what Jesus did on the cross, where God reconciles sinful people to himself. We read this in Philippians 2, verses 3 through 4. Do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. Let each of you look not only to his own interests, but to the interest of others. So that's one way to kind of start that mentality. Don't look at your own interest during the start of a conflict. How would you respond to selfish behavior? Well, it's not easy. What's our first reaction that we want to do? Does anybody want to venture an answer to that? What is your first reaction to a selfish behavior? You get on the defensive. Yes. You put on your battle gear, if you will. Who's right? You're right. I want it my way, or that's probably a harsh way of saying it, but it does. You go on the defensive. Ultimately, the goal is to shift the focus, not from yourself, but you want to shift it to the other person. Focus on the other person. What do you do? Think about, now this one you don't have to answer, but what do you do to provoke the conflict in your life? Think of this video. What provoked the married couple? What provoked the conflict between them? It was the desire for oh, go ahead. Yes. He went into this argument, we're going to do a vacation, we're going to go to the beach, and I don't care about your family. I don't want to spend time with your mother. Well, that's a whole nother subject, but he wanted his way. He works. He does all of these things. It became a selfish attitude, not reflecting what his wife does in this part of their marriage. Where did they go wrong? At about 1 minute into it, where did they go wrong? It kind of started with that selfish, my attitude. I want to do what I want to do. And I justified it because I'm the one making the money and paying for these vacations. That does not justify selfish behavior. On page 2, if you have the book there, we're going to start with the anatomy of the conflict. It starts with a spark. All fires start with a spark. You need a match or you need a flint, but you need something. Where does it come from? Pastor Mike mentioned that we are all different people with God-given diversity. We all have our own strengths, and whether you recognize it or not, you all have your own weaknesses. For me, in our house, I'm glad Nan's not here so I can pick on her a little bit. I sand the logs and I go fishing. So Nan cooks the meals, does the dishes, does the laundry, cleans the house, does the bookwork, sends out the birthday cards, and many more things. Yeah, I also get to watch football on Sunday and Monday and Thursday and Saturday. So we have a great diversity, right? Not really. I do help out a little bit. But we're on the same team. So we each participate. We each have a part that we give. What is a spark? One of the main sparks that I want to talk about today is misunderstanding. That's a big spark that we possibly face often. How often do we hear something, or how often do we not hear something correctly or at all? Anna mentioned that a few weeks ago. Hearing, whether it's a crowd, whether you're not facing somebody, but if you don't hear it, you can't take action on it. Our first reaction is assume the worst. As Pastor Mike mentioned a few weeks ago, what should our first reaction be? We should assume the best and seek clarification right away. Now, in an illustration, I'm going to borrow this from Tim Pollard. He's a speaker for Peacemaker Ministries, and he mentions this in one of his lessons that he was leading. He's from Billings, Montana, and they have 2 high schools. They have crosstown rivals, and they share one stadium. In this one particular game, the one high school team was the home team. The speakers were not working on the other visiting team's section. That week, the home team's longtime band director had died. He had passed away. And the public announcer there was a lull in the game, where there was an injury break. He didn't explain it. But there was a lull in the game. And so the announcer said, we have a sad announcement to make that the band director had died, and they wanted 2 minutes of silence for this band director. And that was great, except the opposing team's band, the loudspeaker was not working over there, and this was not discussed prior. And so what does a band do when there's a lull in the action? They strike up a tune. They start playing. Well, in God's divine humor, can you guess what tune they played? Another One Bites the Dust. A little bit funny to us that weren't there, but years and years of hatred and trying to get even with the opposing team ensued. It was a misunderstanding. Could have it been avoided? It always can when you look back, hindsight, but that is one example of a spark. Does anybody have a misunderstanding that they would like to share? I was thinking of Mike when I was asking this, but Mike does propane, right? And I don't know if you've ever had a misunderstanding from a customer that just was inquiring about propane, and you went and filled their tank anyway. I don't know if that ever happened, but it's a misunderstanding. Sorry about that. I picked on you a little bit. So miscommunication is another spark. So cell phones, they're a great tool. Easy to communicate with, easy to message and find out, hey, pick up some milk on the way home. But have you ever sent a text and then read it later on, and even you did not understand what you said? Or words were auto-corrected, and you didn't read it before you sent it. Or you sent the message to the wrong person or a wrong group. It's easy to just quickly type out something and send it, especially while you're driving. You're not supposed to do that. When you send it to the wrong person, what do? Like, oops. And do you ignore it, or do you just say, that was meant for somebody else? But again, it could start causing some conflict that way. If you're going to send a get your point across message, I would offer this advice. Go ahead and type it out, but don't send it. Maybe read it the next morning, and at that point, put it through a couple filters. Is this honoring the person that I'm having this communication with? Is this the message that I want to give? Is this being Christ-centered? And then erase it and start over. If you want to have the last word, make it a positive word. Too many times you just throw in that last shot, pull the pin on the grenade, toss it in, and see what happens. So if you have the last word, make it positive. Now, if you say, have a great day, and then put a frowny face, you're getting close, but you're not quite there. On the outline also, they put there, it starts with a T, trust and transparency. There's been a few times where I've been asked to be an MC at a wedding. And I tell the couple, sometime during the week, swap phones. And it gives the other person just a kind of a light into what you're doing, how you're spending your time. Just being able to be transparent with each other. If you're too embarrassed to give your phone to your parents so they could look through the pictures, look through the texts that you've been sending, if you're too embarrassed to do that, you're probably not being Christian-like anyway. So again, the phone is a great communication, but it's also a great miscommunication. Are you being considerate of the recipient? Are you able to hand the phone to your spouse while you're driving, because now Colorado you can't be on your phone, but are you able to hand your phone just willingly to your spouse and say, can you see who texted me? Can you see what I'm being called to do? If you ever spend a lot of time on your phone and your spouse says, who are you talking with, or who are you texting with? It reminds me of this is my age a little bit, but a 1983 single by Sylvia, You're Nobody Called Today. Nobody. Well, if nobody is who you're talking with, why are you spending hours with this message, with this phone? So anybody remember that song? Long time ago. And then another spark is no communication. That's another big spark. So we don't have to replay. Well, I'm sorry about that. We don't have replay in our lives like they do in sports, pro sports. And so if somebody says to you, I told you this, and you didn't hear them, that's a spark. Well, what can you say in that situation is, could you please tell me what you had wanted me to do, or can you please say what you wanted? That happened to me just last week. I was watching one of the football games, so it was probably Thursday night, and Nan, later on I found out what she really asked. She had asked me to go downstairs to the freezer to get some beans for supper. And so my reply was spicy. Kind of confusing, right? What I heard was, how do you want your green beans tonight? So I said spicy. So I continued watching the game, and she had to go downstairs and get the beans herself. Miscommunication or not even hearing what's happening. Now, she could have walked up to me, turned the mute on, and then talked to me, but that was a different story. But remember, we're on the same team. We're doing this together. We're operating as a family, friends, co-workers. You're not fighting each other. You want to be on the same team. Selfish attitudes is another spark. As we observed in this video, there were a lot of I words. I want to go to the beach. I need a vacation. I. That's looking inward, selfishly. It's not looking to the good of another person. And when we become selfish, it becomes angry. And when it becomes angry, you lash out. And then when you lash out, then you have another avenue to take. Are you sorry for what you did? How do you recover from that? What would the world be like if the advertisers on TV would follow the words of Philippians 2, verse 4? Let each of you look not only to his own interest, but also to the interest of others. There are a few examples of companies that are giving back in the world today. I just read one on the internet. You buy a pair of socks, and a pair of socks is donated. So that's what it potentially could look like if advertisers followed that. But most of the mentality is, you deserve this. Buy it for yourself. There's a word for that, where companies give back. Anybody know what that is? I'm not going to say what I think you said. Philanthropy. Yeah, there. Some of you are going to go home and use that one, right? But it's philanthropy. It's the desire to promote the welfare of others, this expressed especially by the generous donation of money to good causes. James 4, verse 1 says this, "What causes fights and quarrels among you? Don't they come from the desires that battle within you? You want something, but you don't get it." That's what starts some of the battles, some of the quarrels. Once a conflict becomes out of control, it's kind of spirals. And this is that part where it's up to you. You have the opportunity to stop it. You have the opportunity to change the direction on it. Does it spiral in a negative way, or does it level out and become a positive thing, a solution? An out-of-control desire is something that you want too much of, maybe even a good thing. Something that you're willing to sin to obtain it. That's really a bad outcome on that part. A desire that becomes a demand is oftentimes the direction that we follow because it's the tendency, because it's what you have developed in your heart. That's the direction that you want to go and participate. Let's just kind of move on to the next part of the anatomy. So we have the spark, the fire's started, and now what do you do to the fire? Do you feed it? Do you put it out? Do you put gasoline on it, or do you put water on it? Families are torn apart from this, as I mentioned about my brother-in-law. The holidays are even a little bit hard to deal with. I have done this myself. I was going into Home Depot, one of my favorite stores, and in front of me was a person that we were in conflict with the church at the time, and they were in front of me, and instead of continuing into Home Depot, I just went back to the car and I went to Lowe's, a mile down the road. I didn't handle that situation well, but it tore me from going into one of the stores that I love going into. So it's easy to do, avoiding somebody, not even paying attention to them, going the other direction. On the bottom of page 4, look at some of those thought bubbles. One of them is after what I put whatever he and she, after what he or she did, I can never forgive them. I haven't talked to my family member in 10 years. Why am I still angry? I don't know if anybody's looking at those, but do you have any thought bubbles over your head that are similar to that? That's when you know that you're still in conflict, when you have a negative thought bubble in that, when you're avoiding somebody. When you're in the midst of conflict or listening to a friend, I know Pastor Mike has often used this example where he places a chair next to you. And as an example of, this is Jesus sitting there listening to you as you are giving your side of the story. There are three sides to every story. You know, there is this side, there is that side, and then there is the truth. Whenever you can, and you should always do this, you should be as close to the truth in your story, whether you're retelling it to somebody else or whether you're reiterating it. You should always be as close to the truth as possible, unless you're fishing. Then it was a big fish. When your conflict gets this far, again, you have a couple paths to take. You've got the ability to put water on it, or you can put gasoline on it. Pause. Pause and reflect on your demands. There is no written thing that says when you're in a conflict, you have to keep answer question. It's okay to have a pause. Reflect, to think. How can I handle this situation differently? Apologize. Sometimes it takes you taking that first step. It's a very short, I am sorry. Now again, I am sorry for. You can't just say, I'm sorry, and then walk away. I pick on Bobby here, and Bobby and Dan, but Caleb will often do something and say, I'm sorry, and then keep going. What are you sorry for? I know what you just did, but do you know what you did? The desires are not the problem. The problem is what you do with the desires. The desires may become a demand. And that's when a demand becomes present, then that is what you start focusing on. This is what I want. This is what I get. So again, the anatomy of a conflict, it starts with a spark, and then we have the fire. We're going to go ahead and watch the second video, and then again, compare the two videos together.
So I'm trying to decide what to do for vacation this year.
Oh, yeah?
What do you think we should do?
Good question. I was actually thinking that this year we could go see my folks. We haven't seen them in a while. Well, what do you think?
I think we should go to the beach again this year. I want to relax. We had a good time last year. It's fun. If we go see your folks, your mom. Work's been hard this year. This has been just a tough year, and we go to your parents, I won't be able to relax. I want to go to the beach.
I know, okay? I know it's been a rough year, especially because of work, and I know you need to relax, and if my mom's around, you can't always do that, but you know how sick my dad is. I mean, I really thought this would be the perfect opportunity for our whole family to go and spend some quality time with him while we can.
I know how important it is to see your dad. And I know we don't have much more time with him. All right, well, I wonder if we should do that. Okay, yeah. Yeah, let's do that.
Well, I don't want you to not get the break that you need. I mean, the beach was great for our whole family last year. I just wish you got longer than 2 weeks.
What if you take the kids and you go see your folks? You
But
take
the
them for a
whole
week.
point-
No, hold on. And then the last couple days I come up, and then after that we can take the kids to the beach for a week. I mean, it's kind of choppy, but I think it works.
Yeah, I think it sounds great.
Okay, you get to spend quality time with your dad. We get to take the kids to the beach and relax, and I only have to see your mom for a couple of days. As long as you're good for being away a few weeks, then it's good for everybody.
Yes, I think this sounds like the perfect solution. This is really important to me. I appreciate it. Hey, I'm gonna head up to bed. You coming?
Yeah, I guess so.
So it ended in the last one. Why does this have to be so hard? Well, it doesn't. What was different about this video is there really was no blame being tossed out, no score being kept. You know, these are the things I do. And when you put your own desires aside, it's easy to come to a mutual decision. Was there tension? Was there demands in this video? Yes. But when there was a pause and there was a consideration, then it became a resolution was easy to come to. There's one positive thing that I want you to realize from this video. In both videos, what did the man do? He was sitting at his laptop, at his computer, but he got up and he left his distraction to have the conversation. So again, it's a point there is step aside from your distraction. Now, it's probably no longer a newspaper like it used to be, but now it's more of your cell phone, your laptop, your work, the thing that you're trying to do, you're focusing on, and in this case, the spouse is trying to get with you to make a decision for what to do. After the gasoline, after the fire is going, I just want to touch on the anatomy part of it. Putting out the fire. Is there hope? Now, there's a myth out there. If I ignore it, it will go away. How many times has that happened for you? If so, it's a very rare occasion. It doesn't go away. It's going to take a little bit of work on it. My advice is tackle it right away. It may not feel like it's the right time. Don't tackle it in anger, but do take care of it right away. Don't let it go 17 years. Don't let it ruin your life. Don't let it ruin your vacations or your family get-togethers. I don't know if anybody has a saying that you oftentimes tell yourself. I had a coworker that used this saying is sometimes you just have to eat the frog. Doesn't have anything really to deep meaning, but it just means tackle it right away. Does anybody have one they'd like to share? Earl, what do you use? No money in the yeah. As you can tell, I don't hear very well, so I have my interpreter next to me. That's why I looked to him. I brought this up as an example as well. Be that person whose glass is half full, not half empty. It's not always an easy thing to do, but when you're around people that have that mentality, it is a lot easier. Your glass is half full. Life isn't that bad. You might have a couple bad bumps, but it's not bad at all. Use a filter. How is this loving your neighbor? That's how you can start putting out the fire. Despite our human nature, we have biblical examples of relationships and how we deal with conflict. The Bible makes it clear that Jesus desires for Christians to live in unity, loving one another and those around them. One example is in John 13:35. By this, all men will know that you are my disciples if you love one another. So the spark, the fire, and putting out the fire. That's kind of just the anatomy of a conflict, 3 things to watch for. Where can you be a part of it and change the direction? The key to extending love and mercy and forgiveness to others is understand the love and mercy and forgiveness that God extends to us. We are not in this alone. We've got lots of examples in the Bible. Will we look to the interest of others? Put away your selfish behavior. Honor one another above ourselves, and to show mercy and lay down our rights. We don't always have to have it our way. Sometimes, if you would just pause and listen, the other opportunity is a lot better. And we want to reflect God's love to those around us. I didn't get to the questions in the booklet. There's quite a few questions in there. Sorry about that. But we have the opportunity, if you have the book, to kind of read through those, reflect on those questions. And then there is a day 1, 2, 3, and 4 exercise to also go through and look at other examples.